Welcome to the Swoon Ethel Tote Bag Sew Along. I'm not gonna lie, I'm nervous about this one. I did go ahead and use foam for my bag. I've never used foam before. I'm also not super excited that I have to do the whole thing on my sewing machine, but you know, you're probably like, why did you put this on the list then if you didn't want to sew it? I want to sew it. My biggest thing is more like it takes me so far out of my comfort zone, which is really scary, but on its own. But then when you add that I'm doing it on camera too, I'm just like over here, and that song from Encanto, that pressure song, is just like running on constant loop in my head, and I'm just like, okay, calm down. It's okay. It'll be great. We're going to have fun. So that's all that matters. So I'm not quite sure yet if I'm going to try and just do this all in one video, since it's not quite synced up with our Facebook Sew Along, because I was waiting on my package from Amazon. But I'll definitely let you know if we just go ahead and do it in one swoop, or if I break it up. If I do break it, or if I do it in one swoop, go ahead and pause it wherever you want to take a break at. But hopefully it should be a pretty quick, easy, fun sew. First things first, you need to take like 5 hours. No, I'm just kidding. But you do need to make sure you cut out all your pieces, and a lot of the pieces need every piece needs an exterior and a lining, and then you'll also need to cut out some of the interfacing, as well as foam if you're using foam, or if you're not using foam, just whatever else you're using to help add that stability to your piece. So go ahead and cut those out, and then attach them onto the back of your fabrics. Look at this. Is this gorgeous or what? I'm using our birch and some of the buffalo plaid in poplin that we have on the site. And I've never used poplin before, and I was very pleasantly surprised at how thick and like almost silky it feels. It's really awesome. I cannot wait to sew it up. I usually just work with quilting cotton, so this is a fantastic luxury for me. But okay, so what we need is you need 2 main pieces out of your exterior and foam, and you're going to put the foam on the back of your exterior pieces. You also need 2 lining main pieces, and the interfacing for that too. You're going to put the interfacing on the back of the lining and the foam on the back of the exterior. Okay. You also need slip pockets if you're going to do those. You'll need 1 in exterior and the interfacing for that, and 3 in lining and the interfacing for those. And then you'll need the bottom part, so lining and interfacing. And then the bottom exterior is a little different. My lighting is just all off. It's a little different because you need the exterior, you need the foam, and then you also need a stabilizer in there. It's just going to make it so that it has that nice stiff bottom. And then you'll need side panels, exterior and foam, side panels, interior and foam, or an interfacing, sorry. And then you'll also need 2 handle pieces and the interfacing for those. So I already went ahead and attached all my foam and all my interfacing so that we don't have to watch me spend like an hour doing that. And then I already started to prep my handles. So I just folded, oh my lighting is just terrible. I just folded it and folded it. I just folded them and ironed them so that they're ready to be sewn. So, all right. So let's actually get sewing. We're going to start with the slip pockets, go to the handles, do the gusset, and then just kind of start putting it all together. So I'm excited. I'm nervous. Hang in there with me. We'll do this, I promise. All right. So the first thing we need to do is, it says pin an exterior slip pocket to a lining slip pocket. right sides together. So we're going to put exterior lining, right sides together. If you've sewn with me before, you know I hate pinning. So I will get my clips out though, just in case, whoa, things are falling all over the place. Just in case we do really need some clips here later. All right, and we need to sew, we're gonna match the raw edges of this lining, this top line, the top curved part, and we're gonna sew along the top edge at a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So right. We've got our main and our lining now sewn together of our slip pocket, sewn together at that 1/4 inch seam allowance. Now we need to flip right sides out, press the seam flat. So we're gonna flip it right side out, we're gonna press the seam just so that we've got a nice clean seam there. Alright, now what we're going to do is we're going to top stitch along the top edge like we just did at a 1/4 inch, and then we're just going to baste the rest of it together. So let's do this top stitch. Now, because we're basting, you can just go ahead and pivot your machine and do the rest of it, but because we're basting, I'm just gonna lengthen my stitch length all the way, because basically all we're doing is making sure that those fabrics hold together when we sew them, when we attach the bag. So I'm just gonna give it a nice basting. If you've sewn with me before, you're probably like, oh my goodness, you're actually doing it? I am. Okay, so this is our exterior slip pocket now. We need to fold the pocket in half, exterior sides together, matching the raw edges. Press to make a center pleat. Good thing I didn't unplug my iron. Oof. And then we need to pin the slip pocket lining side down onto the right side of one exterior main panel. So here's our exterior main panel. Here you go, so you can see here. We're going to pin it, or put it so that the lining side is down on top of our exterior main. And then we're going to sew now along the edge here, and then we're going to come and just sew along this the center mark that we made, and that's going to attach our slip pocket then to the exterior. So I'm going to turn my stitch back to regular length. I heard a noise and my cat just, not my cat, my kid's cat just took off over the yard. So I think he jumped down off the roof. Okay, I'm going to pin this one on because we want to make sure it doesn't slip around on us. Alright, and we're going to do 1/4 inch seam allowance. And again, we're just basting it because when we attach the side panels, it'll get rid of it. It'll be in that. So I'm doing a video. Can I talk to you in just a second?
I'm just very hungry.
Okay, head on inside. Your chips are on the table. Love you. Sorry, he's just very hungry. No, go inside.
I want to kiss you.
Oh, okay. Love you. Okay, and now we're just sewing that middle crease that we made for our slip pocket. So now we've got a nice finished top and then 2 sides of our slip pocket. Ooh, looks nice. I'm excited. Okay. Oh, we're supposed to backstitch it. I didn't do that. That's okay. All right, we need to now repeat that step to do the interior slip pockets. So what we're going to do is we're going to put 2 linings right side together, matching up this top curve again, doing a 1/4 inch seam allowance there. Oops, I forgot to change my needle position. I had it centered in the middle for when I did that center pocket. Okay, and then we're just going to iron that 1/4 inch down. Okay. Alright, now again we're going to do 1/4 inch along the top, and then we're going to baste the sides together. This time I'm probably just going to use the same length stitching for the basting, because I'm not super worried about pulling it off after I sew it all together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get about a 1/4 inch from my side, and I'm just going to pivot my fabric. Sorry, everybody just went outside because I heard some noise and I was trying to see what was going on. Mr. Hungry must have changed his mind because he's now getting in the hot tub. Alright, now we're going to take this and we're going to fold it in half and iron that center, down. If you just want one big slip pocket, don't worry about doing this part. I do like the idea of having two smaller, medium-sized ones. So, okay, now we are going to put this on a lining of the main panel. So, I'm just going to go ahead and line those up. Just going to pin kind of at the beginning, around the curve. And then at the top here. Alright, so now we're just going to baste those together. I do really recommend basting on this one just because there's going to be so many layers once we put it together that if something's not basted right, you're probably going to miss one of the layers because it's such a small seam allowance as well. It's just nearly impossible unless you really make sure to get those pieces in there. So. So now we're just going to sew along that crease that we made for our pocket. I'm going to position my needle in the middle just because that's easier for me. And this time I will backstitch. I'll probably regret it, but not doing it on the front, but okay, and then I'll backstitch a few stitches. And then I always like to just run over it again, my back stitches. Alright, so now we have our slip pockets on our exterior and our slip pockets for our interior. Next we're going to do the handles. So like I said before, you're going to take and iron them in half and then take the two ends and iron them to meet at that halfway point and then iron it in half, back in half. And once you've got your handles, all we're going to do is we're just going to about 1/8 of an inch from the edge just kind of top stitch that so that they stay nice and closed. So there's our first handle piece. I'll do it here. As you can see, right along the edge there, so you don't see that fold very well. Awesome. Okay, let's go ahead and do that to our second handle piece. Alright, so there's our two handles. So now we've got slip pockets exterior, slip pockets interior, two handles. We're getting there. I'm not going to do the whole thing in this video now that my kiddos are home apparently and are hungry, even though they ate dinner. Welcome to life with boys. I'm really hoping this is a girl. If not, we'll still be happy. I can't believe I just said that in a video. Okay, anyways. Because we're slightly behind in behind the sew along for the Facebook group, I'm just going to go ahead and do the gusset in this video, and then the next video we'll hook back up and do the assembly and finishing. So let's go ahead and do the gusset. So we need to pin the exterior bottom panel to an exterior side panel. Okay, right sides together, and we're going to match these short ends together. And we're going to do a 1/2 inch seam allowance. Whew, thank goodness. I am not a fan of those 1/4 inch seam allowances. Okay, so there's the first part. Now press the seam allowance towards the bottom panel. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to press this whole seam allowance over towards our bottom panel here. With the foam, I don't think it's going to be super easy to do. Alright, and then it says top stitch about a 1/4 inch from the seam through the bottom panel and seam allowance. So I'm going to go ahead and do it this way since I've got the same thread. And what I'm going to do here is we're just going to top stitch this seam allowance to the bottom part, the bottom panel of our bag. Now we've got bottom stitch there. I think that's just going to help it sit nice and straight. Okay. Repeat to sew the remaining exterior side panel. And then we need to do the same to the lining. Right, so we're going to take our other side panel piece, match it to the short end of our bottom. We're going to do a 1/2 inch seam allowance. We're going to press that seam allowance towards the bottom panel. All right. And now we're just going to top stitch that down a 1/4 inch towards our bottom panel. Y'all, I was worried about this foam, but it's actually not too bad. It's bulky, but right, so we've got our two. So this will be now our exterior gusset. Oh, I'm excited for this. I was super nervous, but now we're getting to it. I'm like, this isn't so bad. All right, same thing with our lining now. We're going to take our lining bottom and our lining side, lining up those short raw edges. We're going to do a 1/2 inch seam allowance. And then just so that I don't have to get up a second time, I'm just going to go ahead and do the same thing to the other side panel and bottom piece. ready. So now we're going to press the seam allowance towards the bottom panel piece. And just like with the, I keep like sliding across my chair. Anyways, just like with the bottom exterior, now we're going to take and do a 1/4 inch seam allowance there, just to keep that seam, oops, I turned it to the, make sure that seam stays pointing towards the bottom and doesn't want to wobble. I'm guessing it's so that we don't have a really thick seam. My lining's gonna have some nice white stitching details on it. It'll be fine. I probably should have put black in my bobbin so that I could have flip it, but that's okay. All right. Now this will be our interior gusset piece. So after today, we now have our exterior with slip pockets, our interior with slip pockets. We have our handles all set and ready to go. We've got our interior gusset and our exterior gusset ready. Yay, we're like halfway done. So now all that's left is the next video. We'll work on the assembling, and then after that we'll just finish it up. I can't wait. Thank you so much for joining me. Sorry, this is kind of a crazy time for me. I'm sorry that we took a little break from the sew-alongs. I so missed it, and I so missed all of you all, and I'm just glad that we can come back and hang out again. So thank you for joining me. We'll be picking this up again tomorrow with the assembly of the bag, and I can't wait. I'll see you then. Bye.